Good evening. This is Rudy Giuliani, and this is America's Mayor Live, back where it all began. Well, not everything. It all began way back with Adam and Eve, right? Since we're on a religious theme tonight, but back where it all began for America's Mayor Live, New York City. And tonight we're in New York City. We're at the Trump Hotel on Columbus Circle, a beautiful, beautiful spot. If we switch to camera 2 for a moment, we can show you that it's become dusk now. We had on the earlier show, we had a better view, but you still can see, you're looking up Broadway. Those cars are coming down Broadway, the ones you see with the lights. But near the top of the picture, where you see the reflection of a sort of a white building, that's Lincoln Center. That's where the Metropolitan Opera is, the New York Philharmonic, Avery Fisher Hall, the Juilliard School of Music, the New York Ballet, some of the greatest cultural institutions in the world. Right across the street from me is something I required when that building was built, because it was city and state property. It was sold for the building across the street. It's called the Time Warner Building, and I required that there be a performing arts center placed there, so that Lincoln Center would start about 4 or 5 blocks earlier as you entered Columbus Circle. And I had the pleasure of looking out the window before and seeing the Rose Art Center, which is the premier place for performing, and I should say it's the premier place for acoustics for the performance of jazz. It's where jazz musicians prefer to record, because the acoustics just turned out to be beautiful. It's very interesting up at Lincoln Center when the acoustics at the Metropolitan Opera are unreal. I mean, it's the largest opera house in the world, and it's a little bit easier to sing in than some of the small ones. Remember, true opera houses like La Scala, the Vienna Opera, Covent Garden, Paris Opera, no electronic magnification of the voice. It's all natural. So you got to fill that auditorium, and the biggest indoor opera auditorium in the world is the Metropolitan Opera. It's really the test not only of the beauty of your voice, but the athleticism of it. And so that's right at the upper end of the street that you're looking at. If you're looking at it now, on the left-hand side, where the white building, I actually think is Avery Fisher, or it may be the Juilliard, but they're all in a big, giant, beautiful square, not unlike the palace. I'll come to think of it. So now let's see if we can take a look at Pope Francis, who's waving goodbye to us. And we covered a good deal about Pope Francis on the earlier show, about his background and his life and what happened and will happen. The very interesting issue, of course, will be as we get closer to it, who are they going to select as the new cardinal? There are about eight front row candidates, and then a couple of acknowledged long shots, and then who knows? But the real issue is, what orientation will the new Pope have? Not so much who it is, but who it is a reflection of. Is it going to be a continuation of what has been regarded as the very progressive policies of the Pope, and which for progressives, of course, has been very, very much appreciated, but for more conservative traditional Catholics has been frightening. The one thing they were hanging on to the church for is to escape wokeism, and all of a sudden the Pope is giving lectures on climate change. Is that going to continue, or isn't it? You should realize that got to be about 70% of the cardinals that are going to vote were appointed by Pope Francis. Now, does that mean they reflect his they reflect his viewpoint? Not necessarily. It's a viewpoint on religion and theology and moral philosophy and theology is different than it isn't like the intellectually limited politicians who they call themselves, left wingers, and then they look at how the other left wingers vote, and then they put their hands up because they can't analyze an issue. Or like Pelosi acknowledged, they don't read bills. These men, these cardinals, are almost all intellectuals. That's why, as you know, whether you like a pope or not, they are extraordinarily. I can't remember a pope that doesn't speak 5 languages. Or hasn't been published either as a truly extraordinary theologian, or at least a good one, which is a philosopher, but a philosopher of religion, right? So I think you can be sure whoever's selected is going to be a brilliant man. The question is he going to be wanting to make the church more in tune with what I guess I would, as a conservative, regard as moral relativity of our current society, if not immorality of our current society? Or is he going to want to reinforce the bedrock principles of the Catholic Church? And one of the things that might be very persuasive is that the major increase in Catholics in the last year to 2 years has been among people seeking structure, including the converts from Episcopalian and other denominations, where the feeling is they have become completely their moral philosophy doesn't exist anymore. It's just completely a reflection of whatever the latest trend is to be acceptable in modern society. So that's going to play itself out with these different candidates. And it is without any doubt going to be one of the major discussions, which we're going to have to view by interpretation. We're not going to have, this isn't like a courtroom television. We're not going to get to see the deliberations of the conclave. And the funeral will be on Saturday. President and Mrs. Trump are going. Which is really following up on what President and Mrs. Bush did when Pope John Paul II passed away. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens we're going to have to see what happens. The president has indicated with regard to tariffs, again, that we're very close to agreements. And also he took some pressure off the so-called trade war with China by announcing that he won't engage in hardball with China. We're going to be very nice and see what happens, he said. Now, his indication that there are several trade deals that are on the cusp of being signed, and his indication that he's not going to play Russian roulette with China, has had a big marked impact on the market. Yesterday, it had a major increase of 1,000 points or more. Today, it was headed for an increase of at least that or more, and then it kind of corrected it, but it ended up 400 points ahead. The NASDAQ up by 2.5%. So it seems like things are calming down a little. Now, my good friend, Michael Goodwin, who, if I had read this earlier, I would have invited over. Hopefully he's in New York. Maybe we'll see if we can get him for tomorrow night. Wrote a very challenging column today. Now, Michael is a very big supporter of the president, has been now for several years. Actually, has been for some time, but strongly for the last several years, because he saw the continuation of the Biden administration as pretty much a destruction of America as we know it. But he thinks the confluence of events now is really hurting the president's great start. In the first couple of weeks, he got off to such a whirlwind start that he had great public approval. Now, this is Michael's view, not mine. I'll tell you mine in a little while. Michael basically said he put too many balls in the air at once, and without having thought through how long is it going to take to resolve, and how much can you sustain, and when do you lose public approval, which I don't think he has, but Michael does. The sheer number of balls in the air is one thing, Michael says, but even more so is Trump's hyper-aggressive move to impose tariffs on nearly every country as a way to fix trade imbalances. Now, I don't know that it could be done one at a time. There are too many of them. And unless they know you're serious and there's something they can negotiate their way out of, how are you going to get them to change years of behavior? And right now, I don't know that it's time for a conclusion, because it looks like it's working. Now, I do admit that one hasn't been signed yet. And I think if I were executing this strategy, instead of keeping all the balls in the air at once, I keep them in the air, but I get one of them, I get the best one resolved. I think the best way to get the rest resolved is to get one resolved. Joe Torre had a theory. How do you come back in a 10-0 game when you're down 10-0 in the third inning? He said, you score a run. That's how you come back. You score a run. You don't think about scoring 10 runs. Think about scoring a run. And how often does it happen? I remember a game pitched by Clemens for the Red Sox, and I was there with my friends, and it was the second inning, and the Red Sox went ahead 9-0. And all my friends wanted to leave. They wanted to go have a nice steak, have dinner. What are we going to sit here and watch this ridiculous game for? Dave Winfield hit a home run so far into center field, you couldn't see it anymore. It shook up Clemens, who generally didn't get shook up. By the end of the inning, it was 9-9. And then the Yankees went ahead and won it something like 13-12. Now, I've seen it go the other way too, so but that's the one that I remember. This is sort of like what, right now, there are no agreements. But right now, there are allegedly somewhere over 80 that are in negotiation, and about 20 that are virtually done, but for the last minute details. But as Michael points out, the market took a tremendous nosedive. I don't know that I'd give too much credence to that. The same market that took a tremendous nosedive had a tremendous increase yesterday, just on the assurance that there will be an agreement. Circumstances haven't changed between when it took a nosedive and yesterday and today, except taking Trump's word that there is going to be an agreement. For some reason, last week they doubted it. This week they seem to be agreeing with it. They agree with it a lot until midday. Then there was a little dispute. It's all still speculation. If these agreements get negotiated in the next 3 to 4 to 5 months, it'll be extraordinary that you can do that many in that period of time. So if you really do want to locate a problem, maybe it's creating by trying to push through too many through the bottleneck all at once. Pick one out, pull it through, and see what happens. See how many others are going to want to have theirs go through as quickly as possible. Yes. The extra that Trump added today seemed to have an impact on the market too, which is he's not going to go, balls to the wall with China. Although I think he's going to have to. That's the one thing I disagree with. I think the other ones are all going to happen, and they're going to be very favorable, and they're going to be very helpful. But I think China is, and even if China agrees that it's only going to work for about 6 months. Same thing with Iran. Then he cites the situation with Pete Hegseth as people losing confidence as a result of that. I don't buy that. I think that's a politically orchestrated attack. I think that it's very hard to evaluate very hard to evaluate a person's performance when, if you're playing basketball and you get called for every time you get within 3 inches of someone, you get called for a foul, and they bang you in the head and they don't get called for a foul, and they're considered to be a better basketball player than you are. I mean, it's there was no violation of the law in what he did. The rest of it is political propaganda. Now, I do think now that the 3 people have been removed, we got to find out why. What was that all about? But I mean, that's what they wanted him to do. Then he also Michael raises the federal courts blocking him on so many things. Well, I mean, if you're going to change, you're going to have resistance to it. So he's only got 4 years. I think you fight all the battles and you win as many as you can. He's probably not going to win all of them. Neither did Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan won 2 out of the big 3. He got rid of communism in Western and Eastern Europe. He took our economy from stagflation to one of the strongest economies in American history, and he raised the debt. So he couldn't possibly have outspent Russia without doing that. He had to make a choice. Same thing's going to happen with Trump. He's going to get most of it done, and some will have to be sacrificed. We'll be a hell of a lot better off than where we were. He also cites the Abrego case as they screwed themselves by first saying that he was sent out with an administrative error, and then he was sent to El Salvador legally. And which is it? The person who said that he went illegally is a deep state person who cooperated in pretty much the biggest double cross of the United States in American history, which is letting anywhere from 15 to 20 million people invade this country without the slightest bit of examination of them. And we have no idea who's here, but we know it's bad. Well, this guy was one of the people who sat back and watched that. Of course, he's going to look for any opportunity he can to interpret it that way. This guy had only one thing that was holding him up from being deported from the United States. He is, without doubt, and he's not an alleged member of MS-13. The documentary evidence proves that he's a member of MS-13. Also, the documentary evidence sitting on his damn arm proves it. Today, all the facts were brought out with the car that he was driving for the 2 highest levels people in MS-13. There are reports in affidavit form and complaints over a 2-year period from his girlfriend that he was beating the living daylights out of her. He was found by 2 immigration judges to be a member of MS-13. The reason he wasn't sent back to El Salvador originally, because he was a member of MS-13, because a rival group was going to kill him. The rival group's been eliminated. They're not there anymore. So there's no reason to hold them back anymore. And not when you're dealing with an emergency and you have, who knows, 20 million of these people, 15 million, 10 million, 5 million. We have no idea. You get a guy with this background, you throw him out. And then they describe him as a Maryland man. It's like when they describe the murderer of Laken Riley as a man from Athens, Georgia. Yeah, from Trinidad, from Venezuela. So I don't know. And then he raises Harvard opposing his penalties for anti-Semitism, which Columbia agreed to. and it's making them a hero to a resistant movement looking for leadership. And then finally, this all comes about because the White House emphasized that he and Netanyahu are on the same side of the issue. And Michael says that there's no question that that Trump turned down a request by Israel to bomb the living daylights out of the nuclear facilities, and that he's following Witkoff's advice and playing a sort of like the same appeasement game that he accused Obama of playing, and then reversed. Now, I think that last one, certainly the facts that are out there through leaks do suggest that possibility, but it's certainly inconsistent with Trump's behavior throughout, and hard to believe that ultimately Trump would end up with a nuclear agreement with Iran that did anything but allow us to do massive inspections immediately and even before we agreed. So let's see what happens. I do agree there's some confusion on that, though, that I wish were clarified. The others, I think, strangely, I think Michael's taking the spin. There's only a certain amount you can do when 80% of the press is against you, if you want to stick to your principles. I thought it was very, very useful, the press conference held by Robert Kennedy with the two doctors. And the one with Marty McCary is the one in which they are banning 8 synthetic dyes. Now, this has worried me for a very long time. You see all this stuff, all this little candy with painting. It's like they put paint on it, and I'm eating paint. It's almost like that. I mean, some of these are toxic. And it's been known for some time. Also, if you look at the all of the different diseases, like we know for sure with autism, it's gone up. It's gone up 220 times in 20 years. 220% in 20 years. Now they say that's detection. It can't be that much more detection. And some of the other illnesses are physical illnesses. So if you want to take a look at this chart that I took from the Post, you'll see the things that they're taking a look at. Blue dye number 1, blue number 1 dye is used in M&Ms. It has a blue hue to it, and it has been rumored. These are tested and done with mice, which is how we do all of it in terms of cancer knowledge and detection, in which a disproportionate number of mice who were eating this blue dye were getting kidney tumors. And that's according to the Center for Science and the Public Interest. A test tube study also raised questions about the possible effect on nerve cells. Then you have blue dye number 2, which is used in Skittles and in blueberry Pop-Tarts. Also disproportionate number of tumors in male rats, and particularly brain tumors in male rats exposed to dye number 2. Citrus red number 2. It's used to color the peels of oranges, particularly those grown in Florida, to make them look better. Why don't I get to see what the orange look like? Also been found to cause cancer. Green dye number 3 is used in canned foods, peas. It's used even in sherbet. It causes a disproportionate number of cases of bladder cancer. I might go on and on, but orange orange B, bile and liver cancer. Red dye number 40 in Kool-Aid and Starburst and NyQuil. Allergies, irritability, hyperactivity. Yellow number 5, DNA damage. That's found in Mountain Dew and Twinkies. And yellow number 6.
Can you believe this?
Lucky Charms, Airheads, Jolly Ranchers.
So what is the likelihood?
It contains a carcinogen known as benzenine.
What is the likelihood that this was a subject of a board meeting in a corporate company where they said, well, they're harmful, but they said, well, but our studies prove that.
How often when these investigations of pharmaceutical companies do you find the reports alerting them to these problems which just overcome because you made $1 billion? Yeah. I mean, this concern with that Robert Kennedy is raising has been his concern for 20 to 25 years.
Me too.
But it was and I've been worried about it forever when I see this crap. And but it was with the integrity of this whole process was put in grave question with the introduction of the vaccine for COVID-19 because it was never tested. Vaccines are supposed to have 3 years of tests because vaccines are very complex things. At least the way they're doing it now with manipulating the DNA, and some of the dangerous side effects don't show up for 2 or 3 years. So if you just take it for a year, you don't see it. Now it turns out that the COVID-19 vaccine, first of all, was a lie. It wasn't a vaccine. Take the polio vaccine, you don't get polio. Take the COVID vaccine, you can get COVID-19 like Mrs. Biden did 4 times. That's a vaccine? Imagine if Jonas Salk had presented the polio vaccine and people took it, and as many people who took it got polio as didn't. They're taking the damn thing off the market. And then they started a bunch of lies. And I mean, Biden, first of all, started telling people, if you don't take the vaccine, you're a killer, you're killing people. Yeah, you were killing yourself. And not only that, you weren't killing people. You were killing people if you took it, because people would think you were perfectly fine. And it turns out you had the same capacity to spread the disease if you took the vaccine as if you didn't. The whole thing was a scam.
Absolutely.
It wasn't even a good medicine. Then they tried to sell it as it reduces the occurrence of it and reoccurrence of it and the symptoms. Well, for a while it looked that way. Then you got people like the first stepmother who got 4 times. She must have taken 10 vaccines.
Oh my God! Can I make a comment?
And everybody involved in that vaccine became billionaires. Absolutely. In fact, one of them had a party for when they became billionaires. Very, very proud of how they suckered us.
They started out by saying that it's going to take 10 years or 20 years to develop a vaccine. And then within 10 minutes, they had a vaccine. And of course, they knew everything about it. It was going to do this, that, and everything else, right? Because remember when they first started announcing vaccines, they said it would take 10 to 20 years.
They told you the scientific knowledge of vaccines, that they take a long time to develop. They very often can't be developed. You fail more often at developing a vaccine for particularly a virus than you succeed. And finally, it takes multiple years of tests because they're enormously complex. And sometimes the side effects don't show up for 2 or 3 years. In this case, they showed up immediately, and they just lied about it.
The news reports contradict each other.
Well, we were talking about doublespeak, right?
Yeah.
Like when they say Department of Peace, and it's really the department that has all the nuclear weapons. When they say this is a vaccine, it was the opposite of a vaccine. It didn't prevent the disease for sure. It didn't lessen the symptoms of the disease at all. It didn't reduce the number of times you would get it or the severity by which you would get it in the future. And there's even a possibility that it increased the possibility that you would get it and more severely.
But it made a lot of bureaucrats and pharmaceutical companies rich.
Well, it tripled Fauci's net worth.
Right.
And we know that from the leaks. And the little stuff that Fauci made a lot more than Fauci's worth about 16 million now.
Think about that, people.
a government servant all his life, worth 16 million. He was worth 7 million when it all started because he made a fortune off AIDS too, and a big scandal there as well. Well, thank you, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and thank you, Marty McCary. Marty went through hell in his warnings that he gave us. Dr. McCary went through hell, the warnings that he gave us about COVID. And he's now the head of the Food and Drug Administration. Just a right guy to have, thank God. Beautiful. And boy, is that a screwed up organization. Whoa. And the Center for Disease Control, I haven't trusted the Center for Disease Control since West Nile virus, when they told me it wasn't. And my health department told me it was. And I just went ahead and said, screw you. And I saved a lot of lives. So these petroleum-based synthetic dyes are going to be phased out. They're going to be studied. And boy, it's the beginning. It's the beginning of looking at a lot of things where the empirical evidence shows that we spend more money on health than any country in the world. And if we're above the middle, we're doing well. We got poor countries that are healthier than we are. Okay, Ted, I want to engage you, and Rob also, in the following conversation. What's going on with our friend Pete Hegseth? It seems to me they're hounding him. And my advice, and I haven't been asked for it, but I'll tell you, if I see the president, I'll give it because I've got a big mouth. I don't think he should roll over for it. And I think they'll go away. Pete has the right idea of what has to be done with the Defense Department. And the Defense Department doesn't want to do it, or a lot of people don't want to do it. So you start tossing people out like this, you're not going to get anybody to do it for you.
They'd love that.
I mean, everybody will be a Chuck Schumer, which is, Trump doesn't realize the intelligence agencies are going to get him.
Remember that?
Yeah, well, they did. And I think a lot of people in his prior administration were affected by that. You got to protect these people against the insidious creeps in the deep state. I mean, they're terrible. They're terrible crooks.
That's right, Mayor. And you hit the nail on the head with Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. Again, let's be clear. The Secretary of Defense is fulfilling President Trump's vision, right? He is there to enact the president's policies. That's who got elected president of the United States. We have no reason to believe that Secretary Hegseth is at all deviating from that mission. And as you correctly pointed out, Mayor, with the piling on by the unnamed sources, these leaks to the reporters, and the way they keep, what seems like career people who are just not happy that Hegseth was chosen, because they seem to think that they're the ones that get to decide, not the duly elected president of the United States, who is to run the Pentagon. And so you're correct, Mayor. The more the media attacks him, I almost feel that the secretary is in a safer position, because you can't give in. If they give in here, it gives the Democrats and the powers that be
hounding other people.
a roadmap on how to get somebody out.
So they were hounding Kennedy, and I mean, it looked for a while like they weren't going to. They were going to nominate Kennedy. Nobody else would have had the guts to do what he did. I'm sorry. I mean, you may not like him because he's a Democrat, but the guy's got balls.
Yep.
Right.
I'll keep it very short. What I think that all of the hubbub is nothing more and nothing less than Trump derangement syndrome. After all, he's Trump appointed. That's the reason why they're going after him.
Yeah. In a way, you're right. It almost. They probably got the message. It doesn't matter if they go after Trump. After they indicted him, and they indicted him 4 times, they convicted him of 33 felonies, and he got elected president.
Right. On
what would be considered a modern, at least electoral landslide.
Right.
Arguably, they might have even helped him become president.
I don't think, arguably.
Well, yeah.
I think
the spies who lied, the 51 spies who lied. Are you kidding me?
No. I think they're
we know it. Yeah.
They're repetitious indictments
Against
they
Trump, yeah.
always do it. They always overdo it. Even January 6th. I would tell you, and I say this, I never gave up on it. I always thought he was going to be able to come back. If there was any time I
Same.
ever had any
Right.
doubt,
You're right.
if there was any time I had any doubt, it was January 6th to about March of 2021. Because they did a very, very, and this is very frustrating for me. I knew from 7 o'clock at night on January 6th that it was a phony, that it was orchestrated by the left wing, the same people who orchestrated the violent riots during the summer of 2020. The same group. They started organizing this way back in September. We had emails inviting people in to disrupt it. We knew that Pelosi was working for creating a major problem, but they did a very effective job of turning America against him. And then let's take a look when we come back at what happened, because they keep doing it, and maybe we shouldn't warn them because you can almost count on it. We'll be right back.
Good segment.
Ooh, that's
Start spreading the news.
U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code Rudy. Act fast.
These
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster, and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee. Welcome back. There it is.
That never sleeps.
Uptown. The cars are coming downtown. The ones you can see. But there's a two-way street heading up to Lincoln Center. And then beyond that, to 72nd Street, where there's a divide between Broadway and Amsterdam. And then it'll go up. You stayed on that street and you just kept going into the 110s and 120s, you'd be at Columbus, which we incorrectly described as the most anti-Semitic school in America. That title is now being very, very strongly assumed by Harvard, which also has a much more disgraceful history of anti-Semitism than Columbia. It was probably the most anti-Semitic university in the country. From almost its inception until the 1980s. No need to apply to the medical school. I had several doctors, including the doctor who delivered my child, who was a world-renowned doctor, who couldn't get into Harvard because he was Jewish. Like in the 1940s. In the 1940s. Well known, very well known. Law school too. The Abrego Garcia thing is driving me nuts. I mean, it's completely ridiculous. It's completely ridiculous. He was found. He was first of all, he is illegal. He's never been found to be illegal. He has never even claimed asylum. He claims something different, which I don't even know what the legal effect of this. He calls it withholding of removal, because for asylum is the same thing as refugee status. If you're overseas and you say, I want to go to the United States because the communists in Red China are going to kill me, you can be granted refugee status and the United States will take you. If you get into the United States, having escaped China, and you say, I'm escaping persecution by the Chinese communists, they're going to put me in jail, you can be granted asylum. Now, you get a hearing because obviously people can claim that when it's not true. Spies can claim it in order to get in. So you have to have a hearing. And there's the rub. The hearings take 5 years. So you come in, and honestly, most of them never come back for a hearing. And most of them that do end up not making a valid claim. Now, he never made a claim of asylum or refugee. He didn't say that he would be harmed by the government of El Salvador. He said he would be harmed by a competitive gang. And the judge the second judge who had determined that he was a member of MS-13. It's not alleged. The judge determined it. Said, but we're going to withhold it because you might be killed by this gang. Now, that's a couple of years ago. The new president, who they all hate because he won't let him go, the new president eliminated the gang that wants to kill him. And by the way, at that time, when he got that exception, and he was facing that risk when he left, he was 8 years old, unable to defend himself. Now he's a gangbanger, right? Arrested with two of the major violent criminals in MS-13. Beaten, charged by his wife with beating the hell out of her several times. This is not a due process issue. First of all, the nature of due process for a non-citizen is very, very debatable. The nature of due process for an illegal, as opposed to a non-citizen legal resident, is extremely debatable as to exactly what it entails. You get the helpful guidance that it's less than the full due process that a legal resident or that a citizen has. Less than. So definitive reports determined by courts that you're a member of a violent, murderous gang that's afflicting many parts of America, and that you originally came in illegally and you were returned, but for the fact that some gang that doesn't exist anymore might kill you. Certainly is enough I don't know. I certainly didn't get that kind of due process when the Bidenistas were going after me. Trump never got that due process. He still doesn't know what he was charged with fully in the case in New York. He was charged with furthering a felony. We don't know which one. The jury didn't have to reach a unanimous verdict. That's a hell of a lot more of a violation of due process for an American citizen, much less the future president, than a MS-13 wife-beating bum. And Democrats from all over the country are taking the money given to them by their constituents to get reelected in order to defeat us Republicans and spending it on this guy. They really want this guy back? What, so we can beat the shit out of his wife again? Or go back working with MS-13?
Oh, no, man. It's because they're so worried about his civil rights.
Well, it doesn't affect anybody else but him.
Yeah. They'd have us believe that when we know what it really is. Another grift.
I mean, they're not worried. They certainly weren't worried about the American hostages in Gaza, some of whom were killed. They not only did they never go there, they never said anything about them.
I mean, the American people can't still be falling for this, right? They can't be.
They didn't get due process either, but they also got tortured, right? So I really don't get this, and it is another time when they've gone overboard.
Always.
The Department of State is getting rid of 2,000 staffers and closing down 132 bureaus. Altogether, they might be getting rid of about 2,700. It's going to be a 15% cut to the domestic staff and also a cut to the foreign staff. Absolutely necessary. Boy, I would have gotten rid of all of them and started all over again. But I think they are the worst department in government. And actually, you're even doing a Democratic president a favor, because although they lean very left, if the Democratic president is left enough, they'll cut his cuyonos off, just like I will a Republican.
Yeah.
I don't know of a president when you read their memoirs or I don't know the president that has trusted the State Department, except maybe when even when Condoleezza Rice was there, Bush could trust Condoleezza Rice, but you couldn't trust the people in the State Department.
Not only because of their dishonesty, but also their incompetence.
Kennedy couldn't trust him. Johnson couldn't trust him. We're talking Democrats now. Clinton couldn't trust him, and Obama, they just lied to him. They told him everything's going great. We're beating Al Qaeda. Meanwhile, Trump comes in and Al Qaeda is back in control again.
Oh, someone there also worked with Obama to make sure those pallets of cash got to where they needed to be in Iran.
Yeah, and they shared, a lot of them share the communist Marxist views that he has.
Because that's what this is all about after all.
Well, there are two types in the State Department, and very few good ones. One are straight out not Marxists, and the other are arrogant intellectual assholes.
Yeah.
Who think they know everything.
You can't win.
Well, the problem is they don't know much.
They don't know much, and they're completely flipped by the country they go to. Represented by George Shultz when he would put a new ambassador in, and they went to ambassador's school. Now, let's say he was the ambassador to Egypt, right? The new ambassador to Egypt. So he'd have his final discussion with George Shultz, who was a great Secretary of State, and Shultz would bring him over to the globe, and he'd say, "Show me the country you represent, Mr. Ambassador." See, I know where it is. It's Egypt. He said, "We never should have pointed you. Here's the country you represent, the United States of America. You don't represent Egypt. Egypt has an ambassador. What are we going to have him two?"
Wow, that's amazing. I love that.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I mean,
That's a great.
I dealt with the State Department way back when I represented them during the post-Watergate hearings. I've represented even Secretary Kissinger. That's how I got to know him so well. And he would tell you that. He would say, I would say, "You want somebody in here?" And he said, "Everyone." Finally, when he got He got his own a counsel in the State Department. That was his government counsel. But even he didn't want him in the room. So you can't trust anybody here.
That's sad.
He said they're all working on an agenda, and he said, you know, there's always been the history of communist infiltration, but the worst part is the intellectual insecurity. Right. He said they all, you know, think they were the smartest people at Harvard or Yale.
Yeah, rely on a fake persona.
And they'll say what they think makes them sound intelligent.
Yes.
And usually criticizing the United States makes you sound more intelligent.
Yeah.
Right. And whoever's in office, the president at the time is just an inconvenience.
I should be the president.
A 4-year inconvenience. Right?
I should be the president. I mean, what the heck does?
And then you add Trump. Then you
what
have
does Eisenhower know about foreign policy? He just won the Second World War, right?
Right. And then you have someone like President Trump come along, who's one to call him out.
He doesn't know anything.
This guy, he's never been to Washington. How many years has he spent in Washington?
Thank God.
How fast did you get out of Washington when you could, Mayor?
Yeah. How often did I go back in the last 4 years?
Right. Oh my goodness.
Just to get framed in the trial that I
only when we involuntarily when we had to go.
To get framed. I just went back to get framed. So now the student loans are going to get collected, and the government's going to go after the pensions of the federal government employees who owe student loans. Oh, and they are squawking like hell. Because they said, Biden promised us we wouldn't have to pay. Sorry, guys, it doesn't work. From before Biden promised you that, and you're supposed to be like these brilliant, intelligent federal workers, Biden and Nancy, insider trading Pelosi, said it's unconstitutional. The president can't do this. And he tried to get Congress to do it, saying it was unconstitutional if he did it. Then Congress didn't do it, and he did it. So you had to know there's a little doubt about whether, when he had originally said it was unconstitutional. And then it gets ruled unconstitutional. And some of you are relying on a forgiveness he did after it was found unconstitutional, which has also been found unconstitutional. So I'm sorry, if you relied on this, you're a major jackass who shouldn't even be working for the federal government. And they're willing to make deals with you. I mean, I would imagine you're not going to have to pay the whole thing if you make a deal with them. Well, I agree with you. It was Biden engaging in out-and-out election fraud. It was like offering you a bribe. It was like saying if let's say you owe 20 grand, it's like saying if you vote for me, you're going to get 20 grand that you're not entitled to, because the courts have actually said you're not entitled to it. Now you got to be stupid enough to think that it's not going to get pursued again. Now that's your fault if you're that stupid. Instead, you know, that had been a good time to go in and settle it with them, because you probably could get a hell of a deal. When Biden had said you don't have to pay it, you come in and say, you know, I feel bad, I can't pay all of it, but I'll pay some of it. I bet you could have gotten a hell of a deal.
Yeah. But that's not good enough.
No, it's not good enough. They got to screw the government completely, or they got to screw us completely.
They got so used to doing it.
So I want to show you this press conference here. This happened right here in New York yesterday. You know, that's Tom Homan and that's Mayor Adams, and that's the police commissioner, Jessica Tisch. And they arrested 27 members of the organization that never existed. This is the one that the governor of Governor Feliz Navidad and the boy mayor of Denver says doesn't exist. And that was exaggerated. Trent D'Aragua. 27 were arrested on two separate but related RICO cases. That's the statute that I used. In fact, pretty much initiated the use of to go after the mafia and then to go after financial crimes. And this is fabulous, because this will allow them not only to put these bums who are, you know, very much like Abrego Garcia, to put them in prison forever or send them back, whichever we feel better with. And since we're talking about Venezuela, we probably can send them back because they'll just come back again. Well, maybe they won't come back again because of what we have established. But who knows? We could get a bum president again, right? We could get a traitor president again. The party sounds crazier than it was even before. It's going crazier and crazier. There doesn't seem to be a rational. I mean, so far.
Is there any hope that there would ever be a Democrat president that could be trusted? I don't think so.
No, I mean, I mean, it was a bit of a jerk job, but at least Newsom said that they're making a mistake with Abrego Garcia. At least he said that. Right. I mean, I don't trust it very much, but it's better than not saying it. Well, yeah. Some of them read the polls, I guess. Some of them can read. But it's not even, it's just logical. But okay. So 27 have been arrested. I'm sorry, 27 have been charged, 4 yet to be arrested. And according to Jessica Tisch, the police commissioner, they've been operating in New York since 2023. So they are clearly Biden invitees, right? To the United States. Thank you, President Biden. This is part of your legacy. These people are charged with massive drug transaction, but worse than that, human trafficking, and particularly children and women. They targeted vulnerable women from Venezuela, forcing them into sex work and threatening to kill their families if they didn't comply. This is according to Commissioner Tisch. These are depraved criminals with absolutely no regard for human life. This is same. I mean, is MS-13 worse than Tren de Aragua, or is Tren de Aragua worse than MS-13? I don't think there's any difference. Now, this is 2 different groups. It's Tren de Aragua and the anti-Tren organization, which is the group that broke away, that fights with them, but they get together to do certain crimes. It reminds me a little bit of when the mafia used to have wars with each other, and then they'd make up and start working together, or the Sicilian mafia and the American mafia. So they have charged. They've charged leaders of both. For example, gang members for months were threatening an area near Prospect Avenue, outside of Crotona Park. They held a guy up there and said they'd blow his effing head off if he tried to run. And they robbed them, sexually abused them. It also includes Anderson Smith Zambrano Pacheco, who was involved in the gang's shocking takeover of the Aurora, Colorado apartment building, the one that was denied by Governor Feliz Navidad as an exaggeration of I guess, the right wing. And also the mayor of Denver, who claimed that it was exaggerated. Now, you should know that 7 counties of Colorado are suing Governor Feliz Navidad and Denver, or the county that surrounds Denver, for luring these people into Denver, because in Denver, and Tren de Aragua has this tendency more than some of the others, they like to spread out into the suburban communities. And so they diffuse their headquarters. They don't, like, organized crime sort of followed a lot of the mafia pattern, which is you put your headquarters in Manhattan or in New York or the Bronx. You put your headquarters in Chicago. Chicago they always had Cicero as a place to run away to. But these people like to spread out. And Aurora is one town they took over completely. But apparently there are about a dozen of them in Colorado that, thanks to Governor Feliz Navidad, who allows anybody in, and Denver, which allows anyone in, per capita, they've had more illegal aliens than New York. These guys spread out all around. And the counties all around Denver on not sanctuary cities. So they're saying they're being hurt by the illegal activities of the governor and the mayor. And sanctuary city is damn illegal. There's nothing legal about it. The Mayor Adams of this city we're in right now, right, put ICE back at Rikers Island so that we don't have screw-ups. We had some people killed where people got out of Rikers Island. They're illegal aliens. We lose track of them. They kill somebody and we find them. But they could have been grabbed right away, we now hold them in detention. We don't do what Biden does and release them. And we send them off to that nice prison in El Salvador instead of killing some kid in the Bronx. So Adams restored the ICE office at Rikers Island. That was there way back when I was U.S. attorney. Of course, it was a different organization then, different immigration organization, INS. It was there when I was mayor. It was there until Communist de Blasio took it out. And Adams put them back. Now, catch this. Listen how perverse the Democrat Party is. Adams' own party, well, maybe not anymore, the City Council of New York City, who passed the illegal sanctuary law, sued him. And a damn machine-created Democrat judge in the Bronx, I think, maybe Queens, told the mayor he had to take out ICE. Whatever happened to the supremacy clause of the Constitution? That the federal law trumps state law, local law. And the area of immigration is one that is assigned to the federal government, not the state government. Of course, it's like waging foreign war. The state government doesn't wage foreign war. And, you know, this is, states' rights has two parts of it. The responsibility of the states and the responsibility of the federal government. But can you imagine all Adams is trying to do is to make sure that these criminals don't slip through the cracks and kill New Yorkers. And the city council wastes money going to court to stop it. And you got some police. Do you understand how crooked and dishonest the New York City court system is? Because as I keep telling you, they're not elected. That's a farce. They're appointed by the county leader. And I can't tell you how bad the county leaders are.
Since you started saying that, Mayor, you start to hear other people saying it a little bit here and there in the news. But I never heard it before the mayor started saying it.
They've only been going on for 150 years.
Yeah, you started something with that. And now
but I appointed 100 judges. Yeah. And I interviewed every single last one of them. And I required 3 for every one. So that I made the choice. I didn't want Republicans to start doing what Democrats did.
You have to be willing to go to war with your enemies if you want to be the mayor of New York City. You have to be willing to go to war with your enemies to be the mayor.
Yeah. And you got to look, Republicans, now the new Republicans, not so much, but in the old days, I mean, a lot of the, this is true in Michigan. A lot of the Republicans take the crumbs that the Democrats leave on the table. And when they get empowered, they don't do a damn thing about the Democratic corruption because maybe they want to do the same darn thing. Gee, I'll be a county leader and put judges in. Let me see how many personal injury cases we can make some money on.
The corrupt leading the corrupt. Yep.
There's nothing about the selection process of a New York City judge that leads you to believe that it's a process of integrity, including the bar associations, which are prostitutes, complete Democrat prostitutes.
Big problem, man. Very big.
So there was a defacing or vandalism at Trump Tower today. We're at the Trump International Hotel. We actually thought we were going to stay at Trump Tower when it originally was arranged, but that was silly because I know the Trump Tower has residences, not hotel rentals. God, I've been there so often, I should have known that. but we're at the Trump International Hotel. This also is very famous in my history because when I awarded the contract, which was a major coup for me because this Columbus Circle project here was going on for 20 years, and the Democrats corrupted it 3 times. They sold it 3 times. Kickbacks. Finally, I did it. Got a great price for it. Got 5 bids, roughly the same price. And one of them was a Trump organization. And of the group, Trump was my best friend and also my very big political supporter. At that point, they were all my political supporters because you got to understand the real estate industry. I was an incumbent by then, and I won by a landslide. And at that point, you don't even have to ask them for a donation. But it didn't matter. I would tell people that donated to me, I look in their eyes and I'd say, you're not getting anything for this. And then I would make the decisions on the merits. So this one, they're all offering the same price. I could have tried to negotiate it up for a little more money, but that would have been gone. So I came up with a great idea. I thought it was, at least. I said, I'm going to put together a group of 5 people, and I'm going to have them do a study for me of the 5 projects. And I want them to give me their best advice on which one will improve the value of the area more. Because this area wasn't as nice as it is now. And where it was particularly not so good is what you were looking at before, which is from here, which is 61st Street up to 66th Street, which is where Lincoln Center is. That area right there, the dangerous area when I became mayor. And by this time, it wasn't dangerous anymore, but I wanted to improve it. I wanted the project here to be of the 5 we were going to select, which is the one that's going to raise the real estate values in the surrounding square more than any other. And they selected a different company than Trump. And I had over the years sometimes selected them, sometimes not. Most of the selections I didn't make. I'd have the experts make the selection, and I'd only review it if there was a dispute. I didn't want any political garbage from it. Trump never complained. To this day, he's not complained about it. When they opened across the street, big ceremony opening it, on the top of the building I'm in right now, he had a big sign that you could see from a helicopter, which said, Trump International has much better view of Park on all floors. That was his, and he put out a big advertisement. This place also has one of the great restaurants in New York called Jean-Georges. And I just heard that they re-upped for something like 20 years or something.
Love that.
So do we have any pictures of what they did at Trump Tower? We're going to take it. Why don't we get them ready? We'll take a break. And when we come back, we'll conclude with show you what they did to Trump Tower and also what they did to the Bull yesterday. And then a little bit of since I'm back in New York and very few people know as much about New York as I do, I'm going to give you a couple of helpful hints on New York. We'll be right back.
I'm leaving today. I want to be part of it. New York, New York. These vagabond shoes are longing to stray right through the very heart of it. New York, New York.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because we like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans. No Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster, and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
That doesn't sleep and find I'm king of the hill, top of the heap. These little town blues
Is the block right before Lincoln Center.
melting away.
So Lincoln Center is being obscured by the hotel. That's catty corner to the square at Lincoln Center. Tomorrow we'll go up to Lincoln Center and take a picture of, we'll take a picture in the daytime too, so you can see what this area of Manhattan looks like. But I mean, that's one of the great cultural centers in the world, Lincoln Center. I mean, I'm prejudiced, but it's probably the best opera company in the world, and has been since Caruso, back at the turn of the 20th century. Look, La Scala's fabulous and all the rest of it, but it's a bigger stage. It's much more full productions. It's a much more of a test of the strength of your voice as well as the beauty of your voice. It can take massive operas like the big Wagner operas with 120 orchestra, or it can do, beautiful, intimate Mozart operas with a 40-person orchestra. And it's blessed with fabulous acoustics, which sometimes are just, now I'm not an expert on that because, as I think I explained, if I didn't do it on this show, I did on the earlier show, that Avery Fisher Hall has always been cursed with what they thought was very bad acoustics, because they used to be at, the New York Philharmonic used to be at Carnegie Hall, which is on 57th Street, which is about 4 blocks south. I mean, it's a walking distance from here. Carnegie Hall is much smaller, but has, the experts tell me, world-class acoustics. The Philharmonic moved to Lincoln Center, to Avery Fisher Hall. Now, Carnegie Hall is still used for visiting orchestras and many, many things. And classical music aficionados prefer the acoustics. Remember, these places do not have electronic enhancement of the voice or the instrument. They rely completely on acoustics. It's hard to believe, right? If you stood on the stage of the Metropolitan Opera, which holds 4,000 people, and you looked out, you'd say to yourself, "There's no way the people in the back are going to hear me." Now I performed there. I did. I performed on New Year's Eve twice. As the prisoner. I'm not even going to tell you. It's embarrassing.
What?
I performed the Metropolitan Opera twice.
Okay.
No one ever did a review of it because they were too nice.
Well, I got to know more.
Yeah.
It's a Die Fledermaus by Strauss. Strauss's Die Fledermaus.
Okay.
And it's a very much utilized New Year's Eve opera.
Okay.
It's performed in Austria on New Year's Eve. It's performed at the Metropolitan more often on New Year's Eve because it's about New Year's Eve. And it's a comedy opera. And at one point, they have a prisoner who's drunk, and they usually would use, on New Year's Eve, they'd always use a celebrity to play that prisoner. Sometimes it was an actor so I got to do it twice. I got to play the prisoner twice.
Is there any video of that?
I'm sure there is. Yeah, I was a pretty accomplished actor. I performed 8 times. I performed 8 times in the parody that you would do of the press with a Broadway play. I dressed up as the Lion King. Took an hour to put that it's attachments to your face and stuff. But the really tough one was the Beast and Beauty and the Beast. That was an hour and 15 minutes to put it together. And I decided to make it harder by repelling. I decided to, because I wanted to just increase the funniness of it and the shock value of it. I always try to do something at the very, very beginning of the performance that would make people laugh. Like I did Grease, and I came into the ballroom of the Sheraton of the Hilton Hotel. The Hilton. I came into the ballroom in a motorcycle on a Harley Davidson, knocked over a few tables. I had set up the tables so that nobody had them. I probably should have knocked over the New York Times table. So I went in, I had my black leather jacket on. I looked like John Travolta. And I drove my Harley Davidson right up to the stage.
I want to see it all. I want to see that.
Then I decided to, they don't do this in Beauty and the Beast, but I decided to make my entrance by coming in like Peter Pan, repelling. I didn't realize, I went to get trained to do it. And I had a lieutenant from the fire department who ended up being a hero on 9/11 that survived, and a hero on 9/11, a great guy. He taught me how to rappel. And first time I went up there, brave, tough guy, I'm looking down. Holy my God, I'm going to go out there with just a sting on my back. He said, I'm going to tell you what, just trust me. Go out, just stay there. I won't move you right away. Just stay there, get used to it. I bet you're not going to want to stop after you do it once.
Oh, that's right, because you get an endorphin release from it. You become a daredevil.
Then I did it.
Yeah.
It was all safe. You could maneuver. Did it a second time. I didn't want to. I was there for 3 hours of practice. By the time I did it, I was really good at it. I went back one or two times to the firehouse to see if he would take me up there. He said, "No, you can get hurt doing that. We were lucky, particularly with all that crap you had on you." Because I had the whole Beast outfit on, and the thing hooked on. First, I had to learn how to do it in regular clothes. And then I had to put the outfit on because we had to make sure the weights were correct. So I came in and I got above the audience and I made my opening speech making fun of them that way, making fun of the press, pointing out. But I was up there. My last performance was Godfather the Musical. And we did it with the help of the cast of The Sopranos. And I played the Godfather, black suit like this.
Oh man!
We
need this
video.
I know.
I put cotton in my cheeks because they told me Marlon Brando did that. I watched the show numerous times. I even got a little pussycat. You might not remember, but at the beginning of it, he's petting a cat, and then he gives it to. So I got the cat. I got a little pussycat.
That's funny.
I'm gonna stop.
So you come to me on my daughter's wedding day and ask me to do murder.
You love that movie.
Oh, of course I do. Yeah. I really do. I really do love that movie.
So I watched it all the way through. With you, I'm glad I waited.
Well, we have to watch the movie
Conclave.
We got to watch it. Maybe tonight. I'm telling you, I hate that look, they're up 300%. And the ending of the movie is sacrilegious, it's disgusting, and it's stupid. The rest of the movie I thought was good. I think the actors are terrific actors. And I think the description of how the conclave takes place is about accurate as you're going to get for Hollywood. As good as Shoes of the Fisherman. Now, if you don't want to support this piece of trash, because the end of it is a piece of trash, you could watch Shoes of the Fisherman, which is the older movie with Anthony Quinn, who plays a Pope Kirill, and Laurence Olivier, who's one of the greatest actors ever, playing the Russian premier. It is fabulous. Now, of course, it was a better book than movie, and it is not considered one of the great movies, although it's a little bit of a far-fetched story, but very interesting. And again, interesting for what it tells you about a ceremony that's very, very secret. They may allow a few photographs inside the Sistine Chapel, but they do not allow like any video of it, and the Cardinals are prohibited from talking about it. I think they can tell little human interest stories about it. I think, but they can't talk about how they voted and things like that. So I'm not going to get into it because you really can't start this. You can't start this without finishing it, which is going through the list of candidates, and we have plenty of time for that because the funeral will be on Saturday, 3 a.m. if you want to watch it live, and I'm trying to figure this out. I call Alan tomorrow and get my expert to tell me. I can look it up. I kept reading it as it's got to be 8 to 15 or 20 days after the death. But I think it has to be 8 days after the funeral. I think that's right. For the conclave. So we'll have to see. See, I think they'll be able to do this pretty quickly because, frankly, they were getting ready for this very quietly when I was in Rome in February, or was that late March or early March? I don't remember. I think it was February. And getting ready for it, meaning they weren't doing anything physical, although I think they had the robes already. The guy may have made the robes a few years ago. They make 3 robes, 3 white robes, small, medium, large, depending on whether we get a big pope, medium-sized pope, tiny little pope. We'll see. So do we have any shots of Trump, of what happened at Trump Tower? Because the day before that, they attacked the bull down on Wall Street, and they wrote on it, F-U-C-K Doge. Charges were not immediately filed. Of course not. They're probably going to get an award by the Soros corrupted DA, like the.
We'll bring this up right now here. Bear with us. So this is from Freedom News TV.
Before we get to that, I want to announce that there's going to be 1 month of $1 pizza in New York from April 22nd to May 20th. You can order pizza from Seamless, and you can get it for $1 a slice.
What's the catch?
I have no idea what it is.
Mayor, I feel like a real New Yorker a little bit, or an honorary.
We got to find this tomorrow.
I know a dollar pizza place in Times Square.
Do you know what the average price of a slice of pizza now is in Manhattan?
I'm going to say $6.
I'm gonna say $4.
$5.72.
Is that pepperoni or cheese?
Just regular pizza.
And by the way, I haven't bought a slice of pizza in New York in probably 10 years.
Well,
I just know where it's going to be.
Well, as of a year ago, Mayor, I know of a dollar slice place in Times Square. Now let's see. I'll go there tomorrow.
It doesn't do a good job. I got to tell you, it doesn't do a good job of telling you how to get it.
Yeah, there's got to be a catch. You got to download something.
Michael
give your email.
McDowell, CEO of Grubhub, which owns Seamless, agrees this marks a welcome renaissance.
What do you think?
The $1 cheese slice is more than just pizza. It's part of the city's DNA. So you can get it at Grubhub, or you can order it from Grubhub. Isn't that online?
They're their own entity, right?
Do they have Grubhubs?
I guess they do.
But we'll find out.
It's an app. Grubhub is an app, kind of like DoorDash.
The other thing they have is on the other side of the spectrum. This is a $30 major, gigantic pastrami sandwich from Katz's Deli on the Lower East Side.
Now, Mayor, if someone needs to, I'm willing to bite the bullet and test both of these for you.
Yeah,
both the dollar pizza. I'll pay for the pizza. How about you get the sandwich? Okay.
But I actually prefer. They also make. I mean, I've gone to Katz's since I was a kid, and in law school I would eat there a lot. It didn't cost $30 then. That's where they filmed Harry Met Sally, if you want to locate it in your head.
Oh, Cats?
The 1989 film, When Harry Met Sally.
Well, we may have to try that sandwich tomorrow. You never want to have a big lunch, though. You want to have a productive afternoon. Easy on your lunches.
Well, maybe we'll get it and put it away.
Maybe it'll last us a couple days. $30 sandwich. That better be a big
maybe
sandwich.
Maybe we'll share it. We'll cut it in half and share it.
He's got a picture of it there if you want to see it.
Yeah, show us the picture, Mayor. Hold that up.
Oh, it looks great.
Yeah, we'll have to get one of them.
Okay.
Yeah,
Now-
that 3 people.
Now, is that? Yeah, I got to see the real size of this thing. See if it's $30.
We could eat like at noon or something.
What a brilliant marketing! What a brilliant marketing move. Because when you tell,
I'm telling you, they should do a better job at telling you how to get it. Cats is easy, but they tell you a better job how to get the $1 pizza.
sure, but the Cats is, imagine you sell a $30 sandwich. Chances are people, your Cats is deli, so people are going to be intrigued.
Yeah.
They're going to buy it at least once, maybe
Their
not more
Reuben
than that.
sandwich, and I love their Reuben sandwich. Sarge's Deli in Murray Hill charges $31.45 plus tax for a Reuben,
Just
and $26.95 for pastrami.
just a standard sandwich.
And Second Avenue charges $29 for pastrami.
It's just like, is there a shortage of pastrami or something?
It's just the price of everything is up is through the roof, you know?
How do you not get sick to your stomach halfway through? Says one guy.
What was it? $40 under Biden?
Little sissy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was all Biden's doing.
Well, let's see the sandwich.
One person said $27 is highway robbery. What generous amount. Oh, half the ingredients, half the price, please.
Huh.
No one is eating a small animal and a bag of cheese between 2 pieces of bread. Lots of luck.
Well, we'll have to test this before. I'm going to want to test it before making any final conclusions.
Another one said, Cat's Deli, a must visit in New York City, now one of the only kosher places left. Amazing food and a scruffy restaurant. Perfect. Had it a week ago, worth its weight in gold.
Wow.
It's
It's cured for weeks in a saltwater brine.
I believe that is
The,
accurate.
the sandwiches are totally amazing and worth it.
I believe it.
This is a customer. The meat is incredibly rich, and it would be difficult to eat an entire sandwich. My wife and I split it and really enjoyed it.
We'll have to try it out. And then
In
maybe
December,
come back.
Taste Atlas named Katz as the most legendary restaurant in the Big Apple and the 8th most iconic eatery in the world.
I
So
put it
you
up
got
there.
both sides. Some
Well-
people say it's worth that it wouldn't be worth it at half the price, and others say it's the best sandwich they've ever had. So shall we show the?
Here we go. Speaking of New York, here is the vandal from earlier today at Trump Tower. We have some video here of the incident. So there he is standing. This must be before he makes his move here. People are watching. He's standing there. He's already made. If you see the plaque, he's already spray painted it. Security is not there. There comes security. They're being very nice. I would have dragged him out of there. They're being very nice.
Don't touch him. Don't touch him. Do not touch him.
Don't touch him. Well, take that guy with him. What's in that backpack? Get that guy away. This guy right here is a security threat. Look at that backpack. Yeah, I would have them out so fast with those cameras or get those guys out of there.
Open the front door with
Yeah,
his hands,
yeah.
like an network movie.
Elf. Like an elf. Where the guys took Elf and put him right out the door.
Everybody's
Pharaoh.
got back out. Everybody's got back out. Everybody's got back out.
It was a casino.
Oh, casino too, yeah.
They opened the door with the guy's head.
Yeah.
After they left him up.
Who's the guy in the backpack? He's accomplice.
They are ruining the
Likely
planet
accomplice.
for profit.
They're ruining the planet.
All right, I don't want to give this guy a chance to get his message out. We're gonna mute him. You don't get to vandalize the president's property and then get your 2 minutes of fame. So,
You know, the other thing is president's not even there. They're inconveniencing and frightening other people.
yeah, the
It's like the
public.
same thing they're doing with Musk.
That guy in the backpack, I don't like him. That guy makes me nervous.
It should even be like Bronx Tale. Now you can't leave.
Don't these people work?
They should handcuff them and you guys should go to jail.
Yeah, it's the middle of the day. Get a job. Remember we used to say that? Get a job.
Well, we'll be back tomorrow. We'll be again coming to you from New York, so we'll have a little New York flavor to it. We'll see if we can get our hands on those sandwiches and pizza, and who knows what else. We know our way around here, Ted, right?
You sure do. I'm learning from the best.
We know our way around here. Even the little catty corners and the. I remember when this was being built across the street here. It was fabulous. Well, it's very nice. It's very nice to see some of these places. And there's also a certain sadness because the city has slipped so much. Should never have happened. And it's not, and again, it's not because of Bloomberg. Bloomberg did a very good job of maintaining, and in some senses improving on what I did. But boy, since de Blasio put a communist in charge, now why the people of the city voted for this guy has to really discourage you. In fact, why they vote for the people they voted for. The last two governors before this one had to go out on scandals, including the one they want to elect mayor now.
Was Bloomfield somewhat successful? Bloomberg was somewhat successful because he was able to afford legal representation.
No, he was successful because he was basically a straight guy who had common sense. That's why.
But he wasn't getting sued.
No, yeah, he was getting sued like everybody else.
He was handed a city
I
that
was getting
was.
sued too, but it didn't stop me. But no, it isn't because of being sued. He wasn't a crooked Democrat. That's why he did a good job.
Well, and
You look at the mayors who weren't Democrats, and that's where you're going to find the great mayors in New York.
he started on third base as mayor. You handed over a city that was in a very different
but
shape.
He could easily have deteriorated it, and he didn't. So I know people make that argument, but sometimes it's even harder when you start at a high standard to keep it up. He did a good job, and he shouldn't be deprived of that, even though he's become somewhat
Always
of a
always a class act, mayor.
Yeah, I don't say
Always
that.
a class act.
Since then he's been like a ridiculous,
I'm just trying to get down to the
and
bottom.
his hatred of Trump is purely personal. It's purely personal jealousy because he wanted to be president, and he got
negative votes, I think.
Yeah, I think he had minus 2%. And he spent $1 billion. Well, probably didn't spend it all, but was going to spend $1 billion.
Yeah, I think some of the steps.
Well, you see him back of me, the group that's visiting and paying tribute to the Pope. I believe it's open all night, which means it's what are we now, about 9:30, 10:30, 11:30, 12:30, 1:30. It's about 2:30 in the morning in Rome. And we'll have to keep up with what's going on for the funeral. And I still, although I have 2 days left, I still think my prediction will be borne out that there'll be a trade agreement this week. I do, and I'm going to stay with UK as my pick. And you want to stay with Japan? What did you have? Japan?
I said Vietnam.
Vietnam. Okay.
All right. Yeah, you're like, stick with that one, right? Yeah.
Right.
Okay, I'll stick with it, Mayor. I'll stick with it.
I mean, we're running out of time. I mean, you could also get it done. Would we consider Saturday this week? Yeah, we would, right?
Yes, that's usually how I do it. Sunday to
he
Saturday.
Works, we know he works on Saturday and Sunday, right from the golf course in Mar-a-Lago.
7 days a week. That man is always working, just
How many
like you.
times have we seen him come off the golf course and hold a big meeting or whatever?
Oh, yeah.
Well, pray for the people of Israel and pray for the people of Iran so that they can become free. People of Ukraine. Pray for the wisdom of the cardinals who are going to select the next pope, which is going to have an impact not just on the Catholic Church, but on the whole world. And we all going to pray a prayer of thanksgiving for God looking after America. God bless America.
Start spreading the news. I'm leaving today. I want to be a part of it. New York, New York. These vagabond shoes are longing to stray right through the very heart of it. New York, New York. I want to wake up in a city that doesn't sleep.
It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able to apply our God-given common sense.